The several collaborative agreements and MOUs will stimulate a chain reaction that will ultimately create employment. Following the agreement, Chinese companies have commenced the process of building the 4 international airport terminals in Nigeria. And from bilateral relations now to the plight of the girl child, Nigerians have continued to decry the decision of the Senate to allow girl child marriage in the country. Reacting to the decision in an interview with journalists in Abuja, former Aviation Minister Femi Fani Kayode expressed worry at the Senate's endorsement of what he called the pedophile character by which it legalizes child marriage and sexuality and its impact on the nation's future generation.
What disturbs me is the silence of the Nigerian people, the silence of the majority of senators, and the collusion of the minority of senators that supported him. And I think that's very unfortunate. I would also use the word that those that supported him behaved in a reprehensible manner. And it's only in Nigeria that people will get up and try to defend this. And you asked about the consequences. Let me tell you what some of the consequences are. First of all, there's a terrible disease that's associated with it, and I'll go into detail about this. Okay, the first thing is this, that most of these children that you pick up at the age of 6 or 9 or 12 and you have sex with, you marry and you have sex with, they end up having a terrible disease called vagina fistula. It's a terrible disease, and what it basically is that it affects their private part because they're just too small to be doing these things. It affects their private part. It destroys it completely, destroys their womb.
The former aviation minister maintained that the decision, if allowed to stay, would destroy the potential of the teeming young girl child growth and development of the country. Degenerate to the filthy appetite and godless fantasies of what he described as a bunch of child molesters and sexual predators, Nigeria should resolve to condemn the Senate's decision and seek to protect the children whom he said are the nation's hope and future. Kayode contended that those who are citing religious implications to cover their desires are not only utterly immoral and reprehensible, but are also not doing so in the interest of Nigeria. He said there is no Muslim country in the world that has adopted pedophile character where 6 or 9 years old can marry and be bedded except some Far East countries. Speaking on possible Muslim nations that have adopted the pedophile character, the former aviation minister said apart from Saudi Arabia and Iran, all other Muslim nations have outlawed the practice.
Disease going on in the world today are in Nigeria. And how can that be defended anyway? How can we as Nigerians accept such a thing, that we are causing our children to go through this terrible thing? And that is only to talk about the physical trauma and the destruction and the illnesses associated with it. What about the psychological one? You have a child, 6 years old. We all have children, 9 years old, 12 years old, anything below the age of 18, is forced into marriage, taken into a man's house. Any man that can indulge in such wickedness is not a man. And any people that can see that sort of thing happening to their own children, any nation that can see that and turn a blind eye to it and say it's acceptable for any reason, or even say, well, it's not our business, after all, it's not our children it's affecting, that is sheer wickedness as well. Millions of children's lives are being destroyed. I mentioned 47% earlier, okay, of cases of vagina fistula on the planet being in Nigeria. What I didn't tell you was that the 47% are actually situated in northern Nigeria. I'm interested in stopping. Murder is wrong. Child sex is wrong. Child marriage is wrong. It is wrong by any standard, and it's totally and completely unacceptable in any civilized society.
He called on all Nigerians to rise up and defend the girl-child rights at all times. So talking about children, some children with visual impairments in Nigeria are calling on government and well-meaning individuals to provide modern learning equipment for them and enact laws against discrimination. At a one-day program for families of children with visual impairment in Abuja, the children said they have dreams and want them fulfilled. Here is Eizoje Momo has more.